right, so if you got this question wrong, odds are that you missed it because of one specific word. And this is the kind of stuff that the GMAT is known for, and it's what makes the test so hard because you're sitting on this test for 3 hours plus most times, unless you're finishing early. And I like to say that some people say, like, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But on this test, it's actually like you're sprinting a marathon because you're working as fast as you can for 3 hours. And it's a lot of effort. It's very strenuous. And your attention to detail starts to lag at certain points. And you have to find ways to pull yourself back in, or you're going to make really, really simple mistakes. And so I think the most important thing is, if you look at the way the question's phrased, it says S and T are two different numbers. And for me, this is the most important part because this is the type of thing that I could miss if I were fatigued. Now, the fact that they're different is incredibly important in statement one, because if they weren't, then we could have S and T are both the same number. Since the distance between S and 0 is the same as the distance between T and 0, if you think about it on a number line, that's only true if they have the same absolute value. For example, 2 and -2. Now, if I didn't know they were different, I could say, well, S and T could both be 2. And they could also both be -2, or they could be a mix of 2 and -2. I don't know. And in the situation where it's a mix, it's always going to be true that if I add them together, they equal 0. Because I'm basically adding A plus -A if they have the same absolute value but different sign. And that will always equal 0, which would mean that our statement 1 is actually sufficient. But it's only sufficient because we know they're different numbers. So we know A is sufficient. Statement 2 says 0 is between S and T. Well, if 0 is between S and T, they could equal 0 when added together, which is what our question's asking, if they were something like 2 and -2. This follows the rule, and it gives us 0 as an answer, but it never said they had to have the same absolute value. So it could be a situation where we have -1 and +2. And if we add those together, we get an answer of 1, which is a no answer. So we have a yes and a no answer to this yes-no question, and that means that statement 2 is insufficient, which is why our answer is answer choice A.